me a few seconds. I'm gonna do the audio thingy on my laptop and then we can get started, okay? And yeah, I'm ready. Okay, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel / my podcast. I am the marketing nomad. My name is Prithvi Madhukar. In this podio, we're gonna get into how to stop feeling guilty for resting. An alternative title, I guess I would say, would be it's okay for you to take a breather. Now, if you've been struggling a lot with respect to taking a break from work or kind of relaxing when you're taking a break, or you kind of feel guilty about taking a break when you're working, I gotta say, first off, me too. Second, I really hope that this podio is going to help you feel a lot better when it comes to your relationship with rest. Now, I gotta tell you, my relationship with rest is quite complicated as is. And, you know, at the back of my mind, I know I'm not supposed to feel guilty for taking a break, or I know that it's okay to take a breather. But, you know, I think it's just how intense this hustle culture is that time and again I have to keep reminding myself that it's okay to take a breather, it's okay to take a break. It's, you know, not something that I should feel guilty for. And of course, we are getting into story time, so let's get into it. So recently, 2023, this entire year, the first part of the year, I actually overworked myself. And I didn't realize I was overworking myself until I fell ill in October. And it wasn't anything major, but it was just, and I'm still recovering. By the way, I'm recording this on November 25th at 11:44 a.m. And I'm still in my period of recovery from just random ailments. And it's been weird, okay? I was down with allergies, then food poisoning, then a severe viral flu, and then food poisoning again, and then eye allergy. And now I'm recovering from the eye allergy. And it's just been close to 2 months of me being physically sick. And the reason for that, I can directly attribute it to the months previously where I refused to take a break and I have overworked myself. That is the truth. And so now I'm kind of taking it easy. But even as I was starting to take a break from work, or I was reducing my work hours, I remember texting my friend, very dear friend of mine. She too is an entrepreneur, and I remember texting her, I feel so guilty for taking a step back. Even though I'm sick and my body requires it, I feel so guilty, and it's not sitting right with me. And I had to reframe that mindset. This is actually a topic that I've talked about in my book as well. And it's definitely a lesson that I have to keep reminding myself, and we'll get into why. I think that sometimes it sounds silly to say, you know, it's okay to take a break, or you shouldn't feel guilty for taking a break. It sounds silly to say things like that, but at the same time, I think that it is important because there is this weird hustle culture that is so predominant around us. And for those of you who may not be aware of what the hustle culture is, so the hustle culture is basically this notion that instigates, prioritizes, values overworking yourself to a point where often it comes at the expense of your mental, physical, emotional health as well. And unfortunately, in the entrepreneurial world, the hustle culture is a little bit more, I guess I would say, emphasized, because there's a lot riding on us when we get into the entrepreneurial journey. The point of the entrepreneurial journey is we get into this at our own risk. And so there's a lot riding on it. And so in the entrepreneurial world, I believe that there is more emphasis on this hustle culture. And it's just so toxic, you know, and it just seeps into your mind, especially in the beginning when I first started out. The hustle culture made me feel that I had to be working 24/7. I should not be taking any break, and any break was just going to hinder me. And frankly, the notion that was projected and that I believed when I first started with my entrepreneurial journey was, if you aren't working, you're failing, and if you aren't working, you're going to be left behind. And it was just such a sad way of me looking at my work in the beginning. And of course, over time, I was able to shift that. And now it's come to a place where I don't feel left behind, or I don't think that I'm failing when I do take a break. And that's good. That's me progressing. But the reason why I was so focused on working this year was, honestly, I had miscalculated my deliverables for the year, and I just wanted to hit that. And in my pursuit of trying to fulfill the goals for my business for that particular year, I lost sight of the impact that was having on my physical health. And as an extension to that, I'm going to be very honest with you, as an extension to that, the impact it was having on my mental and emotional health as well. So yeah, the reason why I decided to do this podio is because this is a lesson that I'm relearning as I'm speaking to you as well. And I think it is going to be a lesson that I have to keep reminding myself, and you too will have to keep reminding yourself as time goes by, because it's very easy to get sucked into this hustle culture, or to keep working without prioritizing yourself. And eventually the thought process of that is you start to feel guilty every single time you take a break. And you don't have to be an entrepreneur to resonate with this podio. Honestly, I think the hustle culture is prevalent every single where, and I think that it is something I personally don't like it at all. I personally try to shield myself from it, and I hope that this podio will help you create a more healthier relationship with your work, and as an extension of that, a more healthier relationship with rest, because this is what I've learned in the last 2 months of taking a big step back from work and prioritizing my mental, emotional, physical health, and rewiring the relationship that I have with rest. So I hope that I can share my insights with you, and I hope you can use that as a starting point for your life as well. Okay, so let's get into what exactly is the thought process behind our relationship with taking a break. And it actually stems from our childhood. I know that you may look at me and say, well, what are you talking about? And I want to get into that. So pause this video if you have to, okay? Pause and take a second to look back at your childhood. Take a look back at what the adults were telling you every time you wanted to go out to play, or every time you wanted to take a break from something. And you'll you'll be like, oh my gosh, this happened to me too. Every time you wanted to go out to play, someone would always ask you, well, did you finish your homework? If you didn't, go do that and then take a break. Or if you were taking a break when you were studying for your exams or something like that, you would get a call from your friend and they'd be like, oh, well, I finished these 3 chapters. And then you look and you're like, I'm only done with 1. And then you cut short your break just to catch up with your friends. There's a little bit of FOMO, fear of missing out, that's going on over there. Or you would hear people, as you grew older, as you got into maybe your college days, every single time people would see you lazing around, not doing anything, just being by yourself, or doing activities that made you happy, that made you feel fulfilled, they would ask you, well, don't you have work to do? Don't you have this to do? Isn't this due? Shouldn't you be doing this instead? And for me, as I grew even older, as I got into the entrepreneurial space, for me, that thought was me telling myself, like that person was me telling myself that, shouldn't you be doing this? I'd be watching Netflix and don't be chilling and you're just being by myself. And there would be this weird thought in my head saying, have you deserved this? Have you done enough to deserve this? And I think somewhere along the line, ever since we've heard these terms in our childhood, I think somewhere along the line as we became adults, we started to associate taking a break with having done enough to deserve it. And I want to break that thought process with this podio. I want to let you know that taking a break does not mean you should have done a substantial amount of work to have deserved that. I don't think it is deserving a break. I think it's just taking a break when you need it, or giving yourself that breather in between your work. It's nothing to do with you deserving it. It's not, I finish X amount of work and then I get to enjoy. No, I don't think that is the healthiest way to approach taking a break. For me, the way that I look at breaks today is I need to have it scheduled in my timetable. For me, breaks are as important as the work that I'm doing. Breaks are not an afterthought, and they should never be an afterthought. Breaks are not something that I deserve. Breaks are actually something that I just need in a timely fashion, just as much as I need to be doing my work as well. So that's the thought process that I've come to at this point. And I gotta tell you, in the 2 months, it's close to 2 months, I'm not even kidding, of me being sick and realizing that I actually refused to give myself a proper break in the 3-4 months that followed. Of course, I had my book launch. I was also launching 17 planners, journals, and trackers during that period. So I did overwork myself. And I think it all has to do with, I guess, in the race to have certain deliverables done for the entire year, I forgot to take care of my mental, emotional, and physical health. More importantly, my physical health in that process. And I wasn't giving myself the breaks that I really needed to give myself. And that's one more thing that I want to tell you is sometimes you may not recognize you need a break, or in your hurry to get your deliverables done, in your hurry to not miss out on your work, you may neglect the small signs that your body, your mind is giving you that you need breaks. And that's exactly what happened to me as well. I'm pretty sure there were times where I was physically exhausted or I was mentally exhausted, but I just kept, in quotes, pushing through because I thought that was what I needed to do so that I could just get this done and then I'll be free for the rest of the year, kind of thing. And now I realize, like, 2 months in, I realized that was not the healthiest way to go, and I should have recognized the signs. But I think I gotta give myself a little bit of leeway as well, that, you know, it happens. Sometimes you tend to overlook. So for me, a way to work around that, something that I have been intentionally doing for the last 2 months, is scheduling out my time for break, you know, and prioritizing it as importantly as I would my work as well. So that's been a shift in the way that I've been tackling my break and my work, and just putting it on my work calendar. It's really made a huge difference for me, because now I know, all right, when I wake up in the morning, I do a little bit of work, and then I'm going to take this break. This break is absolutely important. And then, you know, taking a weekend off every 2 weeks, making sure that I take the complete weekend off, and if I need more time, I will take that as well. Ensuring that I have a system in place for my breaks has been really, really helpful for me. Now, every time you think about break, oftentimes we think of it as a reward for hard work. And with this podio, I want to break that notion. I want you to remember that breaks are important. It's not that you've got to wait up until a certain point of finishing your work for you to take a break. No. For your body, your mind, your soul, whatever, however you perceive it to be, I think it's important to have these breaks in a timely manner, in a regular interval sort of thing, when you're thinking of work, your life, and break from all of it as well. You know, it's not necessarily break from work. It could be break from your personal life, break from things that you are going through. You know, just giving yourself that time, that space to just be at peace. Give yourself some time, some distance, I guess I would say, from whatever it is that you are going through in that moment of time. So it's not necessarily work, but I guess in this patio, it's going to be a little bit more work focused, because I think that's where the guilt comes more predominantly. Okay, so I'm just looking down at my notes. to see where we've taken this, and I'm feeling good so far. We've kind of hit all the talking points that I have put out there. And so one more thing that I've written in my notes is we often think of breaks as a sign of weakness. And frankly, this was my mindset 3 years ago, where every single time I felt I needed to take a break and I would actually take a break, I thought I was being weak because, again, you know, when you look at other people and you hear them talk about this whole hustle culture, you think that they're working around the clock, and some of them are. And, you know, the way that they handle it would be that way. But for me, it wasn't working out with relation to my mind and my body restrictions as well, my limitations. And, you know, for me, it was understanding that they can do whatever they want, but I need to set some boundaries with respect to my work and make sure that I am giving myself that rest, that break that I need, and not use it as, not feel guilty about it, and not also think of it as a reward. Just think of it as something that is as necessary for my body and mind, just as food is or water is. You know, for me, changing that perception was important. And so I got over that mind block, that mindset block. And then this year, the mindset block was, I'm going to just finish all of this, and then, you know, post-October, I'm going to be free. I'm going to keep a more relaxed schedule post-October, but let me finish this. And I said this from May all the way till October. And now I'm in the process of resetting that mindset that you've got to schedule your breaks. You've just got to put them in a timely fashion, because like you do with your food and your water, there's a sense of clockwork with them. That also needs to happen with your break. It's not, oh, I'm going to finish this and then I'm going to get to it later. No, that also does not work. And that's what I'm learning right now as I'm speaking to you as well. So yeah, you know, it's not a sign of weakness. And frankly, I think that giving yourself that break, recognizing that you need scheduled breaks, you need timely breaks, I really think it is a sign of strength, because you are prioritizing yourself. So what I'm going to do in this part of the podio is I'm going to go through some myth busts, and we're going to work through them together. All right. So the first myth bust, I don't know what that was. The first myth bust that I do have is, you know, it's not a sign of laziness. It's not a sign of weakness. And I struggled with this 4 years ago. I really, really did. Every time I'd be watching Netflix, or I'd be spending time with my family, or I'd be going out for walks, I'd be like, well, I could have spent this time working on maybe doing this thing, or scripting this patio, or doing something that could be beneficial for my business. And I think I was working in a lack mindset. I kept thinking that I was missing out because I was not working. Instead, I was taking a break. And I think reframing that mindset was a process for me. It took me quite some time to say, no, you know, this is actually helping me to be productive. You know, I need this rest so that I can operate at a maximum productivity level when I get back to work. So reframing that mindset also was very, very important for me. And frankly, I really think that when you give yourself that break, when you tell yourself, I need it, I'm gonna take it, I don't care whatever happens, I think that's a sign of strength. I really think that's a sign of strength. So that's the first myth that I want to tackle, and I want us to reframe together. I'm working with you on this, okay? Like I said, my relationship with rest has been quite haywire. Like sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's really bad, you know, when I kind of get influenced by the surroundings, and then again I have to work on it, and then it gets better, and then, you know, it's up and down with me. I'm hoping this time I'll keep it up for a lot longer, but you know, it's very easy to get influenced, because that's just how strong the hustle culture or the thought process around taking a break is. So if you find yourself going back into that mindset, don't be too hard on yourself. Be kind to yourself, because it happens to every single person. It's just that the influence is strong. But the minute you recognize it, just keep working back and get back to being in a healthy perspective when it comes to the way that you look at breaks, just like I'm doing now. You know, it's up and down, up and down. But for me, I think the challenge from now is how am I going to keep it up for longer? So that, I think, is where I am at with my battle, I guess I would say, to beat this whole thought process of hustle culture and the influence of it. Okay, so don't be too harsh on yourself if you find yourself slipping back. It happens to every single person. You recognize it, start working on reframing that mindset, get back on track. All right, so yeah, okay, so that's the first one. And the second myth bust that I want to tackle in this patio is breaks are not a reward. You know, every time we would think in our childhood, it'd be like we go out to play, people will ask, well, did you finish your homework? Finish your homework and then go out to play. Or finish your homework and then watch TV. Finish your homework and then do this. And as we grew older, I remember telling myself during engineering exams, okay, I'll finish this chapter and then I'll take a break. I'll finish this and then I'll take a break, so on and so forth. And that chapter would be going on forever. And by the end of it, I don't know, I would have neither done the work nor enjoyed my break, and it would just always be just a very weird experience. And I remember it now as I'm talking to you, but back then I didn't realize it at all. It was only after I became like an entrepreneur and I started getting deep into why I was burning out so much, why I was, you know, feeling frustrated with my work, because of course I was not taking breaks as often as I should, or I was having this weird toxic relationship with breaks. And that's when I started working on it, and that's when I started becoming more cognizant of it. But before, during my engineering, no, I didn't have a good relationship with breaks at all, like zero, okay? And I knew that it affected my work. I knew that it was affecting the way that I was studying as well, the way I was able to show up and how productive I wasn't. And to be honest, yes, I guess I also gotta say that I was not interested in it at all. And that was also a bit of a struggle. But even otherwise, like, just my relationship with breaks was very, very messed up back then. So what I would want to say, part of the myth bust for this would be, try to make breaks as part of your routine. You know, when your body is giving you signs, when your mind is giving you signs that you need a break, take heed of those signs. And those signs could look like you starting to fall sick, you starting to feel physically tired, you feel mentally tired, or, you know, there's just some part of your work you're unable to process and you've been working at it too long. Or I really think that your body does give you signs. Every time you feel like you want to go out for a walk, every time you feel like you just want to stop working and just do something else, take those signs. Don't make yourself feel guilty that I don't know why my mind is asking me to go out for a walk, or I don't know why my mind is asking me to just let this go for now. No, those are your signs. Those are the signs, and they're very, very subtle. And we just stamp on them and then we keep on working. Don't do that. Don't do what I did, because I did that from May all the way till end of October. I did exactly that. There were these little signs. My mind would tell me, can we stop working on this? Can we focus on something else? Can we paint? You know, and I would just be like, no, we can't do that. We have to do this. We have to finish this by October. We have to get this out by October. And I kept pushing those little thoughts that my mind, those little signs, I guess I would say, my mind was giving me. So don't do that. Don't do what I did. Okay, pay heed to those signs. I know from now on I'm going to pay heed to those signs. And of course, if you're feeling physically tired, you're starting to get into that downward spiral, take a break, okay? Don't feel guilty for taking a break. Don't feel that it is a sign of weakness that you are unable to push forward. No, it's not. Your body needs rest as much as it needs food, as much as it needs water. You don't feel guilty for being hungry, do you? It's just as simple as that. Try looking at it with that perspective, and every time you start to feel guilty, remind yourself, this is what my body needs, and I'm gonna give it to it just as much as I need water, just as much as I need food. I mean, we don't feel guilty for any of those things. We shouldn't be feeling guilty for taking a break. So what I would say is, keep rest in the same place as you would keep your other necessities for your life as well. And that's one way that you can build a healthier relationship with that. Like, every time you feel hungry, you just get up and go eat, right? At least I hope that you don't say, okay, well, I'm not going to eat even though I feel hungry. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no, we don't do that. Every time we feel hungry, I especially, I go into the kitchen and see what's up, or I grab a fruit and then I just munch on it, or some snack or something like that. So yeah, just the way that you don't deny yourself when you're feeling hungry or when you are feeling thirsty, take it the same way. View it with that same perspective. Keep it at the same level as you would keep all of those. And that's where I'm at right now. That's how I'm reframing my mindset, that if I need it, I'm gonna take it. No explanations. That's one more thing that's very important. I feel that we have this tendency to give a list of reasons why we need that break. And again, that's talking about the reward system that's embedded in our mind since a kid. So for me, now every single time I feel like making a list of reasons why I need to take a break, I stop myself. Previously, if you would see my Instagram posts or my Instagram stories, I'd say, when I would tell people that I'm taking a break and I'm taking a step back from posting, I'd always say this. I'd say, and that's wrong, okay? Don't follow this. I feel like I need to tell that. Okay, so I'd say, I'm taking a break because I've worked continuously for 2 weeks in a row and I haven't taken a single break, and I'll give all of this explanations, and that was so wrong, and I realized it today. Hold on, we're across 25 minutes. You know what we should do? We should switch. Give me a second. All right, we're back. So previously I would give all of these reasons for taking a break, and at one point I realized, well, why do I need these explanations? I really don't need these explanations. If I want a break, I'm taking it, no explanations needed. I don't even need to justify it to myself. And so today, if you see my Instagram posts every time I take a break from work, all I say is I'm taking a break because I need it. And that's it. I stop there. I don't give any explanations because there doesn't need to be an explanation for you wanting to take a break, for you taking a break. Okay? That's one more takeaway that I want you to have with this podio. Okay, so reframe the way that you are talking to yourself when it comes to you taking a break. And like I said, it happens in these very subconscious levels, just because of what we've been hearing ever since we've been a kid, or even now as an adult, the way that I guess the information that we are taking in is a little bit skewed in terms of promoting the hustle culture and promoting work and never taking a break kind of thing. Yeah, no, I don't like that at all, to be very honest with you. That's my very, very honest opinion. So, it takes time to reframe, but even now, when I find myself typing the explanation, I just delete it. I said, no, we're not going to give any explanations because we do not need any explanations for taking a break. So I hope you can use that as a starting point when you are talking to yourself about needing a break or about taking a break for yourself, all right? Okay, so that was the second myth bust. And the third myth bust that personally I have had to struggle with is breaks are a waste of time. And I gotta tell you, this has been one of the biggest battles with respect to break for me, because especially in the beginning, I'd be working and then every time I would, do something that made me feel fulfilled in terms of personal activities, like even work does make me feel fulfilled, but at some point you've got to realize that if you are an entrepreneur, there is money associated with what you're doing in terms of work. So work can never be as, I guess I would say, can't give you that space in your mind as much as a hobby does, because there's always that pressure of making money from it, of how you're going to sustain your business, of what you're going to do next. There's always going to be that pressure, even though it brings you so much joy, so much passion, so on and so forth. So for me, in the beginning, I thought work and hobby was just the same, and I merged those two together. And frankly, for me, even in my break time, like in quotes, I would be working on small things related to my business because I thought that it brought me joy or peace or, made me feel fulfilled. But very soon I realized that work is work, all right? Whether it makes you happy or fulfilled or you're overly joyful in doing it, you have to understand that the pressure of work will always be there. It's always underlying, and at some point it will catch up to you. So you've got to keep something separate from it. What you do in your break has to be separate from your work, and it can be anything, you know. It can be physical activities, it can be your leisure activities, it could even be practicing mindfulness, so on and so forth. You can mix it up. That's on to you. All right, what you need in that moment of time, absolutely mix it up. But understand that work is work, all right? Regardless of how passionate you are. And I'm talking to you entrepreneurs out there, okay? Because I've done this myself. I've made this mistake. Okay, so I'm looking at you when I'm saying this. Regardless of how passionate you are about your work, work is work, okay? Work cannot be what you consider to be doing in your break, regardless of how small it may seem or how insignificant it may seem. You can say, oh, well, it's just this little thing. And I'll give you an example. For me, I love shooting videos, okay? I love being on camera. I love talking to you. It makes me so happy. I love sharing my experiences. So for me, every time I was taking these breaks, and I say breaks in quotes, I would do my video shoots in those breaks because that brought me joy. But at the same time, what I understood after going through a massive burnout in 2020, June 2020, I realized, nope. Work is work. I've got to keep it separate, and break is break. Okay, so understanding that. And the second thing is, breaks are not a waste of time. In fact, you need breaks. You need breaks in a timely manner in your life for you to take a step back from everything that's going on with your work. And frankly, if you take a step back, first off, it helps you view your work with a clearer mind when you get back to it. And number two, it actually maximizes your productivity. It's counterintuitive, but when you take a step back, you're giving yourself that space to recover. Whether it is mentally, emotionally, physically, you're giving yourself that space to bounce back to your optimal productivity level. Because as you keep working, there is going to be a natural decrease in your productivity. It's normal, we're humans, okay? There's going to be a natural decrease in your productivity. So when you give yourself that break, either in a timely manner or you take it whenever you feel like it, no judgment over there, okay? You shouldn't judge yourself. I'm not going to judge you. No one's going to judge you, okay? Just take it when you feel like it, whatever that is, okay? Whatever that is. Don't judge yourself for it, okay? And when you give yourself that break, you are actually giving yourself the space to jump back to your optimal productivity. You're giving yourself to, I guess, that space to refuel, if we have to put it in those terms as well. So you need that space from work in a timely fashion, or honestly, sometimes you may not, maybe the time that you've set for yourself might be a little bit too far away. And I gotta tell you, your mind will tell you, it will be like this random thought in like peak work hour. You're gonna be like, I feel like I want to take a walk, or I feel like I need to step away, or I feel like doing something else. Every time you get those feelings, don't look down on yourself for having those feelings. Actually take like 5 to 10 minutes, just step away and then get back. It's your mind telling you, I'm exhausted. Can we please move away from this? Okay, so pay heed to those little signs. And before, I remember, especially during my engineering, when I'd feel these little thoughts in my mind, I'd look down on myself. I'd actually scold myself. I'd be like, we're supposed to be studying. Can you not tempt me, and stuff like that. But now I recognize that that was actually my mind, that it was just exhausted and it needed some space, some time away from whatever we were doing, so that it could analyze it in a better way, or just help me refuel, I guess I would say. So pay heed to those signs, okay? That's what I want to say. And something that I've written over here is there have actually been studies that say that breaks are very, very necessary for long-term success. Yeah, I don't know why I stumbled upon that word. Okay, there have been studies that say that long-term success can be attributed to taking breaks, and it does prevent exhaustion. And frankly, in my case, I've seen it multiple times. Taking breaks has actually helped me reduce burnout and sometimes even prevent burnout as well. All right, so if burnouts are something that you constantly find yourself in, maybe you need to recheck your relationship with taking breaks and trying to see how you can make a healthier way of approaching your breaks and your work as well. Okay, so yeah, that is something. And the fourth myth that I want to bust, and we're getting towards the end of it. The fourth thing that I want to myth bust is breaks are only about resting your body. No, actually that's not true at all. Breaks are for your mental, emotional, and physical well-being as well. So that's where I said, you can do physical activities. You can also practice mindfulness. That would be more for, calming your mind and your soul as well. And then mindfulness could also be related to your emotional well-being as well. So leisure activities, physical activities, make sure that you are having a good mix of all of them in a single day and as well as in a single week. So make sure that you're keeping cognizant of not just your physical health, but also your mental and your emotional health as well. So breaks are not just about resting your body. They're also about giving space for yourself to refuel your mental, your emotional, and your physical energy as well. Okay? So a couple of tips before we sign off from this audio. The first I would say is, the first tip, we talked a little bit about it, incorporate it as a routine, as part of your routine. And of course, outside of that, if you feel you need to take one, just take it. No explanations needed. The second tip is, there are different types of breaks that you can take. You can go for a walk, you can infuse self-care activities, you can do yoga, you can have a hobby, you can mix it up, you can go for exercise, like proper physical exercise, jogging, so on, hit the gym, so on and so forth. Whatever you perceive to be important for you in that period of time, put that in, slot that in, add that to your work calendar, because the way that I perceive our relationship with the work calendar is what's on it, we will do it. There's some sort of weird thing that goes on where we think if it's on the work calendar, it's very, very important and we have to do it. And we often get it done as well. So when it's on your work calendar, when it's part of your routine, you tend to prioritize it, and there's a higher likelihood of you doing it. You may not hit all the breaks that you've scheduled in a week, but if you hit at least 80%, I'd say you're doing pretty good, okay? At least you're giving yourself that space and that time. And over time, as you become more intentional about it, you can keep improving the way that you take breaks, or the way that you can take breaks just like this, without much thought, all right? And then the third and the fourth, I guess I would say I'd combine that together, is don't have any guilt, when you're taking breaks. It's a sign of strength that you are prioritizing your well-being. It is a sign of strength that you are recognizing what your mind, your body, your soul, all of that together need. And I think it's a sign of strength. I think it's commendable that you are able to recognize what you need and you are able to give it to yourself. I think that's a little bit of self-love that comes into play as well. So every time you're feeling guilt for taking a break, work through it. Take the time to process. Why are you feeling this guilt? For me, in the recent example, for me, it was more that I wanted to finish the deliverable so that I could feel like this year was a success to me. And so that meant I had to reframe what I perceived as success. So I had to work through that, and I worked through it through my journals, and I reframed that, and then so on and so forth. So work through the guilt that you are feeling. Understand what is the underlying reason for that guilt and solve that, and then work through the guilt as well. So for me, journaling helps. For you, you can use whatever works for you. Sometimes taking a walk and, taking some space away from it can help you clear your mind and, help you understand what's going on, so on and so forth. For me, journaling works really well. I've seen other people, they love having a video diary, they love having an audio diary, that works for them, so on and so forth. So find a method that works for you, all right, when it comes to retrospection and self-reflection and taking the time to understand what is the underlying feeling behind the guilt that you're feeling, or the need to not take a break, the need to suppress taking a break. Understanding that and working through that is very, very important when it comes to taking rest and taking breaks, all right? And again, something that I've written is reframe the thought process that you're having into acceptance that this is your limitation, and that's okay. It's not a weakness, it's just your mind, your body, your soul has its own limits, and respecting that is a sign of self-love. At least this is how I perceive it. So yeah, that brings me to the end of this podio. I really hope that this podio has changed the way that you perceive taking breaks. I hope that from this point you are able to have a healthier relationship with taking breaks. And I'm gonna say this again, yes, there may be some points in the future where you stumble, just like I have in October. You know, recognizing that you've stumbled, being kind to yourself during those periods, and just reframing, taking time to reframe, because just as, you know, you go through life, there are going to be more things that come to your attention. Like, I never knew that I wanted to perceive success this way for this year, so I had to work through that, and it was a new thing for me. So I guess I would say be kind to yourself as you're working through new thought processes that may come, that may hinder your relationship with taking rest and taking a break. At the end of the day, there's always an underlying reason for the guilt. And once you work through that, the guilt will evaporate. All right? So it's important to understand what is the underlying reason, work through that, solve that, and then, you know, reframe your mindset and reframe the thought process that you're having towards break. Keep it in a way where there is acceptance, there is self-love towards yourself, and understanding that you are only human. There is a limitation to what you can do, and that's okay. That is absolutely okay. It's not a weakness, it's just normal. Okay, so I really hope that this podio helps you reframe the way that you perceive taking break, and it also helps you reframe the relationship that you have with work and taking a break as well. Alrighty guys, other than that, I am an author. I have written 2 books. My first book is 0 to 4 Figures, 61 Stories and Lessons Related to Digital Entrepreneurship. It covers different topics like self-love, relationships, positive mindset, growth mindset, success mindset. It also tackles business strategy and marketing strategy as well. Actually, this topic, it's okay to take a breather, is in that book as well, where I talk about the first burnout, the first massive burnout I had, which led to me understanding that I need to have, first off, a relationship with taking a break, and second, be mindful of that relationship. And it's because of that entire experience that today I have a more cognizant relationship with rest, and I'm learning new things about it and reframing, continue to reframe my mindset when it comes to taking a break. My second book is called Self-Loved. It is a compilation of 1,000 journal prompts related to healing, growth, and self-discovery, and it covers different topics like daily gratitude, reflection, inner child healing, trauma healing, anxiety, emotion management, so on and so forth. All of those are available on Amazon. And I also have a series of planners, trackers, and journal. At the time of publishing this podio, there are 17 available. Yeah, ran out of battery over there, but I'm back and I'll just continue where I left off. So the planners are called the Simple Series by The Marketing Nomad. At the time of publishing this podio, there are 17 of them. You can definitely check those out on Amazon. The simplest way to find all of my stuff on Amazon is to find my name, to just search my name. It's Prithvi space Madhukar. And the minute you do that, there's an author page for me and you'll be able to find all of my stuff over there. Other than that, well, you know, there is my website, www.themarketingnomad.co. You can also catch me on my Instagram page. It's at themarketingnomad. Over there, I do share some personal aspects to my life as well. And if you want to share your experience, you want to share your thoughts on today's podio, definitely do that in the comments section below. I get notified for them, and that's the quickest way to have like a nice conversation with me as well. Other than that, if you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up, hit that subscription button, hit the notification bell. The notification bell tells you every single time I do upload a podio. Other than that, yeah, the reason why I called this a podio, in case you're joining me new over here, is podcast slash video. Okay, so I kind of merged those two and I made it PODEO. So that's why I call these podios, in case you're wondering if you're new here. But otherwise, I actually explained this in another video of mine as well. Other than that, well, I really hope you enjoyed this podio. And I would love to hear from you, if you want to share something related to taking a break, maybe your experience with it, maybe your different perception about taking a break, something that could be helpful. If you've got any tips for us, definitely do so. Me as well as other people watching this podio, it will be helpful for all of us as well. So do that in the comment section. Feel free to leave your thoughts as well. All right, guys, that's it. That brings me to the end. I'm going to end this podio. I'll catch you in my next one. Bye-bye.